Okay, hi everybody. Um, this is my college kickoff for seniors and their parents, and let's go. I will leave time at the end for questions. Um, all of us, meaning the counselors, the four counselors, and myself, are at school during lunchtime. So if your seniors have questions, are concerned, are stressed out, please have them come to the lunchtime or after school, or if they're taking a dual enrollment class and it's not meeting that day, have them come in during that time. I will definitely be there every day now until probably like the very beginning of December so that we kind of get everybody through. Okay, if you are interested, I know this is my profession, so I love watching all the podcasts and videos on college stuff. But this behind the curtain of selective college admission is super amazing. So if you ever wanted to watch something about college and the highly selective ones, that's a good one to get information from. Okay, do you need an independent educational consultant? So that's a private, what they call college counselor. If you do get one, make sure that they are associated with at least one or two professional organizations because the organizations give us rules and regulations and kind of, I feel like, morals around the whole thing. So if you haven't got one, especially for somebody who has an 11th grader, and you are thinking about it, just make sure that the person is associated with a professional organization. Okay, so what is my goal for this meeting? It's to share information, how to approach the search and application process, to stay calm, but also be very realistic, and help the students to find what they want to get out of college. Sometimes they don't know, and it takes a little bit of time and questions. I will give resources to assist in finding college preferences. We have tools to research careers, colleges, and majors. If your student is still working on a list, um, timelines for when to apply, resources with the applications for Common App UC and Cal State. We talk a little bit about testing, and then please know that there's a lot of information, like maybe too much. I'm looking for students to help me cut it down, but at the ljhscollegeinfo.com. Lot and lot of information there. Also, later in the year for scholarships and such. Um, okay, a college versus a university. Mainly, a college has usually has smaller classes, taught solely by professors, no teachers, assistants. Um, and it offers students opportunities to interact with the adults on campus much more easily than some of the big universities we have. A lot of them are liberal arts colleges. I'm sorry, my cat, I've been working on the slideshow all day. Haven't seen the cat. Now she wants like on my lap. Sorry, got distracted. So a lot of colleges are liberal arts colleges, which they include physical and social sciences, but also engineering. So if you have a student very much leaning towards a STEM major, don't discount the liberal arts colleges because um, they do have strong STEM. You just have to do a little bit of research and see which one fits the student. Um, the liberal arts, you take a broad range of undergraduate requirement classes, and the student picks and chooses what they want. So they become really thinking and writers and how to communicate effectively because they've had a kind of a wider breadth of classes. University typically, and I'm going to say San Diego State is supposed to be a college, but it acts like a university. So it's made up of several colleges. So you'll have, the College of Engineering, the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences. Sometimes there's somebody's name attached to it, um, and within the university. They have large research components. A lot of money usually goes to that. We'll see what happens with the government, reducing research grants. I believe, from what I understand, that's mostly like the graduate programs that are being affected, but something to think about and look into. They do have large classes at Berkeley. The Computer Science 61 has 1,700 students in it, which is like mind-blowing. A lot of those students don't go to in class. But they do show up and meet with the teacher's assistants or graduate instructors. So large class sizes, a little bit harder to get in front of the professor. You might be getting in front of the TA. The TA might be the one who's grading you. Okay. Um, if you are at this point just kind of like, oh my gosh, I'm just waking up. It's senior year. What am I doing? I've missed the boat. No, you have not missed the boat. No, no, no. So just keep going forward, start working on things. The counselors were in all the English classrooms a week or two ago, and they explained the whole college application process from the La Jolla High School side. And make sure that the students are checking their emails from the school, their sandy.net emails, to see if there's any information that the counselors are really wanting them to get. So check your emails. They should be doing that even if they're already applying and interested in schools. How is your college list coming? So it is important to have a solid college list, and we'll go into what that breaks down like. One place that I really think is great is to look at Lynn O'Shaughnessy. She's a local woman who had a while ago now students, her children started applying to colleges, and she was kind of blown away. She was a financial advisor, and so she now has an amazing website, a podcast, books, and in that link, digging deeper when researching colleges, it has a lot of good information on how to think about your college list. And I'm going to say it again, it is not about the sweatshirt. It is not about the highly selective school that you got into. It really is like, where is the best fit for you? And that's not usually one school, there's several. Um, if you have a solid college list, it makes it easier to get through the rest of the application process, instead of constantly adding different schools, because you're going to be doing a lot more work if you keep changing your mind about colleges. Not that you can't, towards the end of the day, but it's just good to have a solid list. Do not use rankings to create your college list. US News, Forbes, Princeton, Wall Street, they all just released all their rankings. Um, especially US News, I just don't even understand that that's still in business. Um, many schools, 40 law schools, don't even give the information to US News anymore. So one of the things that US News does is 25% of the rating of a school is what other colleges or universities presidents think of schools. Well, somebody at Oregon State might not know what Indiana is doing, right? They're focused on their own school. So the ratings are really not that great. And then this is the question, right? What does a student want to get out of college? Do they have already a specific job or career goal? Have they wanted to be a lawyer, a doctor, architect, finance person, and then how will college get you to that goal? Are there specific majors in different colleges that are really attractive? Is graduate school part of the plan? If it is, you really want to look at your finances for college, because undergraduate degree is expensive and then grad school is expensive. One of my daughters just finished law school at University of Chicago, and that was it's like $330,000 on top of her getting an undergraduate degree, and she actually also had a master's, which I don't recommend doing that. Go straight to law school. Um, so make sure that you have a what, like a range of colleges you're applying to, but that they do have what you're interested in. You might change your mind on what you want to major in, but if you're really sold on becoming an engineer, you want to make sure they have a good engineering school or department. If you want to become a teacher, like make sure their education college is really great, and that it's giving you, or it's possible to do and graduate with the major that you're interested in. Um, I'm going to mention this 3 times. This year, I highlighted it. There is a new college, californiacollege.edu. So much information in that. It's throughout California. San Diego Unified just started using it. We've been trained on it now maybe 3 weeks ago, so kind of late. But it's pretty awesome. And as a parent, I think you should ask your student to go into Clever, which is they know how to get into Clever because that's how they access all their classes and Zello and things. Click on californiacolleges.edu, which is this blue arrow kind of logo, and go check it out. There's a lot of information there. My favorite way is to do College Match. That is by Dr. Antonov, who's amazing. He also has the collegeexpress.com website where you can actually get lists of colleges, which are really great. You can go by major, you can go by geographical location, you can go by sports, there's different ways to get lists. And he created those through interviewing students he's worked with, interviewing employers that hired students from different colleges and what they think of the school. And then he has these incredible lists. So that's a great one. And then the San Diego Unified and therefore La Jolla High School uses Zello, which also has a ton of information. One of the things that sometimes independent educational consultants will charge for is these assessments. And Zello has a great interactive career, personality, and learning style assessment. And you don't have to pay for it. It's right there. Really cool. Ask your student again to go into Clever, go into Zello, and check it out. ONET Interest Profiler. There's the website to it. And that is also like what careers are you interested in, and then what kind of education do you need for that? And then what can I major in? That's a Berkeley site. Again, really cool. Like, what does a major give you? Like, what can you do with it? Really interesting. So then what are the questions a student can ask themselves? What is important? Is location. Do you want to be in a big city? Like NYU, New York University, downtown Manhattan? Or do you want to be a little bit further out? Indiana University is kind of out there. The school is really going to be your not just your academic life, but also your out of school life. There's not a city really to go to, a little city. Academics, we already discussed. Do they have what you want to study and want to do? What is the size like? I think we're really lucky that we're in San Diego because a student could go look at Point Loma Nazarene, which is a tiny Christian school, but like walk on campus. What does that feel like? A little school. Oh, this might be exactly the size that I like. Or they can go look at University of San Diego, which is a medium-sized Catholic school. Again, forget about the religious part, but just like what does that feel like? For most Catholic schools, religion doesn't matter. We'll talk about that in a minute. And then you can go to the big San Diego State, which is big, Cal State, or UC San Diego. Even if they don't want to stay in San Diego, it's a great way to see like what feels right to me, what size feels right to me. My son absolutely wanted nothing to do with the large university. My daughter thrived at the large State University. So, students have different needs and different what they want. The campus appeal. Here are two schools that I have pictures of: University of Rochester in New York and University of Maryland. Beautiful. I visited both schools. They're so pretty. And a lot of times we think of the Ivy League schools as Stanford and those. Oh, they're so pretty. Well, these schools are amazing and they're a lot easier to get into. Incredible schools. And then, of course, social life. Do they have Greek life? Is that something you're interested in? Do they have club sports? Do they have, because you don't want to give up lacrosse that you played for 12 years. Social life, what does that look like? Do they have what you want? And then, of course, especially as parents, like, got to look at the cost and get real, get real about the cost of college. Um, I love this. I just found this today. Myth or fact, everyone knows what they want to major in already. On average, a student changes their mind about their intended major 3 to 4 times. The best way to approach your first year is to explore major options broadly, both through your class schedules and through other methods of exploration, which they mean internships, jobs, research, all of that, and then narrow it down. Now, that is great for a student who's going to apply to a College of Arts and Sciences because there's so many majors available in that, and most UC schools accept you to that college, not to the major. But if you're going to look at engineering, you can't really do that. You have to apply to College of Engineering and the major you want because they're going to accept you to that major. Then you can still change your mind and go to the College of Arts and Sciences because that's not a difficult way to transfer. But it's very hard to transfer from a College of Liberal Arts and Sciences into like an engineering major or engineering school. So again, do your homework. But again, you do not, a lot of schools have undeclared majors. They're great. They will expose you to a lot of different things that are available on campus, the different majors, where they get you, what careers. They'll bring in people, that studied that major at that school. Again, do your homework. Look at what undecided or undeclared looks like at that college. I know Colorado State University has an amazing undeclared program. It's awesome. I want to go and get my master's at St. John's College, although that looks really cold in that picture. But they do everything that they're tiny schools, but everything they teach a student is through the grade books. Everything from math to biology to everything. It's fascinating. So again, that's a tiny, tiny college versus like an ASU. That's a huge college with so much to offer. And then again, this is the same thing from Berkeley. What can I do with this major? Great resource. Okay, research tools. Again, I already talked about it. The California College, californiacolleges.edu. Sign into Clever, click on californiacolleges.edu, and lots of information. Big J Educational Consulting, that is, I believe it's two people who are private educational consultants, and they have really interesting resources on their page. College Express, I already talked about Dr. Antonov with his lists of colleges. I use it a lot. College data, I love college data because I really like data, and I use that a lot. It has things like, not just like the acceptance rate, which, yeah, that's of course important, but also the retention rate. How many people come back their second year? If that's a low percentage, you need to find out what's going on at that school. You want that to be a pretty high percentage. What is the graduation rate for 4-year, 5-year, 6-year? Every year that your student is there another year costs more money. So college data has all that information. And then College Board, that's the people that you've maybe paid money to for your student to take AP testing or AP classes, SAT. They do have a lot of information on their Big Future website. There are 2 more virtual college fairs if your student is still kind of like, I could add a couple more onto my college list, or I'm still kind of working on my college list, definitely attend these Sunday, October 19th and on November 9th. It's really cool because you can go into these different, like, almost classrooms and meet with the admission rep and hear what they have to say. You can even ask questions. Super, super cool. Definitely, I suggest doing that. We just had a couple weeks ago the RAC, which is Regional Admission Counselors of California. They did their going out of state presentation and then had a mini college fair. And it's so nice because every time we do this, every year, the counselors are like, "Oh, your students are so great." And, they ask smart questions and it just makes you feel good about our students. So hopefully they attended. It was during fourth period and lunch for juniors and seniors. Colleges that change lives, definitely a great thing to look at. It's a website now. It used to be a book designed by journalist Lauren Pope. Kitty, stop it. I'm sorry. Um, who who really wanted to have a collection of schools that were really student focused, student centered, a lot of interaction with the adults on campus, but also a variety. Like when we look at the pictures here, Reed College is probably the most liberal college in the United States. Um, I think of it as a school for kind of super intelligent, little bit quirky student who just loves to learn. I mean, in their off time, they're discussing literature and philosophy but very liberal leaning, politically. But then you have Hillsdale College, which is the opposite of that. It's also very intelligent people, of course, but it's super right-winged, conservative. A lot of people end up working for the Republican Party that come out of there. Then you have Eckerd College, which is in Florida, beautiful school, really good for students who just need a little bit of extra help. They might have a 504 or an IEP that's pretty extensive. Eckerd is a great place. Willamette, beautiful school. I was just there. And they have a lot of 3+1 programs where in 4 years you end up with a graduate degree. So a lot of different ones, but they're smaller schools, liberal arts, and think of it as very adult engaging with the students. This is an important thing for us to know as Californians, the WUI, Western Undergraduate Exchange Program. So all the states that are pictured in that slide in that photo, most of their state universities will have some kind of Western Undergraduate Exchange Program. Not all of them do, but a lot of them do. So definitely, if you have your student applying to any of the public universities in those states, see if they have WUI. For instance, Colorado State University, I just updated the numbers, and for the whole slide, I've been updating numbers, and it's just remarkable to me how every year it goes up, and I keep like kind of pinching myself going like, how can that be? But so this year, if you have a 3.2 weighted GPA, and that could be even like including your senior grade. So you could take it all the way to the end of senior year. But if you get a 3.2 weighted GPA, you get about a $10,000 a year savings through WUI at Colorado State University. So usually it's $47,720 per year for an out-of-state student. And then minus 10,000, it's 37, right? But then if you have a student who has a 4.0 plus GPA, they could get another 16,000. So that brings that school down to 31,720. This year's class, 47% of this year's student have above a 4.0 weighted GPA. So they could get that 31,720 total cost of attendance. That's tuition, tuition, room, board fees, travel, personal expense. It's kind of like everything you would need to go to school. So if you compare that to one of our local schools, UC Berkeley, is 52,000 total cost of attendance this year. They're not very generous unless it's financial aid, yes, you will get financial aid, but merit aid, not very generous. San Diego State, same story. Financial aid, sure, you can get financial aid, but merit aid, super tough to get. So, Colorado State looking pretty good if you look at the numbers. Um, that's why good to keep an open mind. Because a lot of times when I think about this is, I hear people saying, I'm only applying to in-state public schools because that's the best deal. Not necessarily, right? Okay, religious schools, we talked about it a little bit. You don't need to be um, religious to go to most of these schools. Now, having said that, let's look local. Point Loma Nazarene does ask for kind of I call it a statement of faith. What religion means to you in your life, or how did you find Jesus? So that is pretty religious, right? Um, Most of the time, the Catholic schools are not that religious. Villanova University Catholic School, Pope came from there. They keep posting things with like their very famous basketball players and the Pope. It's so funny to me. But yeah, Catholic school, you don't have to be Catholic. They have Hillel for Jewish students. I mean, broad. Same with University of Portland. That's a tiny school, about 3,200 students or so, maybe a little bit more, maybe like 3,500 students, amazing soccer programs. A lot of our very famous female soccer players came from there. Don't have to be Catholic to go there. LMU, Loyola Marymount, also Catholic, do not have to be Catholic to go there. TCU, Texas Christian University, they really should take Christian out of their name because they're party. It's a party school. It's very fun, great business program, great alumni, all that. But, do you have to be Christian? Absolutely not. Okay. I have been talking a lot about colleges outside of the US. I grew up in the Netherlands. When my daughter was going to one of our in-state colleges here in California, at the same time I was paying for my niece to go to college in the Netherlands. Um, and this is now, they both started college in 2017, so it's been a few years. But I was paying for my daughter about 45,000 a year, whereas my niece, it was about $3,500, and the government paid for her housing. So, something to be said about maybe taking your money. And if you have the student who's like, can't wait to study abroad, maybe look at doing it abroad. Um, a lot of things to look at in that regard, but amazing opportunities, especially a lot of people have Canadian passports, it seems like. Oh my gosh, Canada is a great place to go to college. So definitely something to think about. Okay, other important things to consider, statistics, 4-year graduation rate, right? Because an extra year costs money. I usually don't look at the 4-year graduation rate. I like to look at the 5-year graduation rate only because most students will take summer classes, right? Or bring in credit from high school, and then they're automatically sometimes considered a 5-year student. So to me, I look at 5-year. But yeah, if you look at 6-year and that's still a low rate, you don't want to keep paying money. Retention rate, we already talked about, needs to be high, otherwise there's something wrong. Is it a good financial fit? Are they giving you merit aid? And then financial aid, right? Financial aid is based on the income of the family. Merit aid is based on how much they want the student there. Campus life, we already talked about, but other things to talk about. Some schools have living on campus requirement of 4 years. Not a lot of them. Many smaller schools have at least 2 years. And then most colleges, university have at least 1 year. But if they have housing available for all 4 years, like a place like NYU, downtown Manhattan, right? It's really hard to get apartments there and super expensive. So it helps if they have a 4-year guarantee that your student can get housing. UCLA has it, which is really nice because that's also expensive. Greek life, that's another way to maybe hopefully save some money. Sometimes if the student lives in the frat or the sorority, that's less expensive than just an apartment. And then of course, things that your student might be interested in, clubs, athletics, again, city, small town, what do they like? And then academic fit, major, honors college. It's a great way for a academically strong student to make a large university smaller. ASU is a good example, Arizona State University. They have an honors college that is beautiful. They have a beautiful separate residence hall. They get better food, which is kind of not so nice, but like, hey, if you're, honors college, that's awesome. Amazing internships. It definitely makes that huge university smaller. Do they like to be challenged or do they get overwhelmed? Like, look at what the academic culture of the school is like. And then, of course, if they're very specialized in what they want to do, make sure that that college offers it. How many colleges should you have on your list? So, definitely try to be realistic. And I know that's really hard in our community because we just love to talk about the top 30, highly selective universities in this town. But when you look at what I pulled out on the side in that graph or the Google Doc, um, 95% acceptance rate for University of the Pacific and Stockton, California. That's an amazing school. 3.63 average GPA to get accepted. That's a great California school. Utah State becoming much, much more popular with our students, 93% acceptance rate. NAU, great campus. And yes, it's in Arizona, but it has Four Seasons because it's way up in Flagstaff. Great school. I visited several times there. 91% acceptance rate. Colorado State, we just talked about how much money you can save, 90% acceptance rate. A lot of our students go there and they have great experiences. Not even, but ASU, 90%. So you get the idea. There's St. Mary College of California, Moraga, great little, it's also Catholic, don't have to be Catholic, great little school for somebody who just really needs interaction with adults. It's such a super school, 89%. Michigan State, okay, 87, getting a little lower, but idea being there's a lot of schools that are not, a 5% acceptance rate. So look for them and make sure you have a couple of them on your list. Um, like I said, be realistic. Any school with an admit rate of less than 20% is a dream school, even for the most accomplished students. So even if you have a student with a high GPA, maybe they took the SAT, ACT, and that's high, and they've done a lot of activities and they look beautiful on their application, anything below 20 is really hard to get into. Okay. 10% and lower, I call that a lottery ticket. I mean, at that point, you know, that is so hard to get into. I just don't think you should have many on your list. And it gets really hard. Every year I have students who just cannot cut their list, and they're the high achieving students who are like, ah, but I could get in here, I could get in there, I could get in there. And then they put all the Ivy Leagues and Stanford, on their list. And I think, but you haven't done your homework because a place like Cornell University versus Princeton versus Harvard, those are three totally different schools. The culture is different, the location is different, what they offer is different. Like, do your homework and know what fits you. So what does a balanced school list look like? Maybe one lottery ticket, maybe two if you're that high achiever, 2 to 3 dreams, 3 to 4 targets. Targets are like your sweet spot. Like you should be getting in there. Like, it might be like a little question, but like probably. And likely are like these schools on this list, right? ASU, you probably will get into from La Jolla High School. Colorado State loves our students. And this is just a few of them. I mean, there's many, many more. So that's, and try not to do more than 12 because it gets really hard. Um, and then, within that, I think your UCs and Cal State schools should fit in there too. This was shocking to me. This is the first year that I have seen this. Our new counselor, Ms. Rubalcava, pulled this together. When you look at this, it's rather startling. At least I was startled, so maybe you're not, but I was. 38% of our students have between a 4.0 and a 4.49 weighted GPA. Then the top 9% have between a 4.5 and a 4.74. Those are really large. That's really good GPAs for, 47% of our students to have. I just thought that everybody should know that. And that's why I pulled it out, because that's a large percentage of students with really high GPAs. Be intentional. Once you have your list, know your application deadlines, of course. When is their financial aid deadlines? When is your FAFSA or your CSS profile due? Are you going to apply early action, early decision? And if you do, when are the financial applications due for that? And then to demonstrate interest, follow the school on social media, Instagram, YouTube, TikTok. This is the UCSB Instagram. It's really good. They have a lot of great information on the UCSB site, regardless of if it's for UCSB or other colleges. They have a lot of great information on their head of their director of admissions is fantastic, and so much information on their website. Important things to know. A lot of times people say, oh, but I got a brochure from XYZ school and, they keep sending me stuff. It doesn't mean anything. They're just trying to get you to apply. Look at the brochures. Maybe it's a school you've never heard of, you've never thought of. Look at it. Do your research. Is it one that you want to put on your list? But don't think that you're going to get accepted just because they send you a pretty brochure. Please don't fall in love with just one school. I've seen so many people be sad because they didn't get into that one school and they think their whole life is ruined. That is so not true. I just this week had a student text me who's a senior at San Diego State from La Jolla High School. She's a senior there graduating this year. And she said, she texted me and she was like, when I decided to take San Diego State because I didn't feel that the other options were really good enough for me is really what it was. And she's like, I've been so happy here. I have done so many things. I'm, moving into a job already. I know what I'm going to do next year. I've had a great time here. It's been just fantastic. So don't fall in love with just one school and don't be like, oh, well, I guess I'll have to go here or there. So many great schools. Try to have a rolling admission school on your list, because a rolling admission versus early action versus early decision versus regular decision will look at your application and make a decision usually within 3-4 weeks, and you have a decision, which is pretty cool. And then look at majors, look at schools, especially those you've never heard of, and then also see if they're good with merit aid. And then if you are happy with your application and your transcript and your application look good, and you're like, yep, I'm ready for them to look at me and make a decision on me, go for it. Go early action, because it shows you, it's like you're demonstrating that you really like that school. But if you're like, I think doing really well this semester is going to make me look better, then just go regular decision. Oh, this is good. This coming Friday, Washington State is going to be on campus during lunch and then a little later. And if a student fills out the application, which they can do through the link, it's also going to be, emailed out to the students and it'll be in the e-news. Then Ben Cherry, who's the admission officer for Washington State for Southern Cal, will be there and will give an instant decision. So student can be. And it's like, he's like, basically, he would take anyone who has a 3.0 and higher. And then I did a little bit of research. It's $49,566 a year for total cost of attendance, but 30% receive almost $5,000 in merit aid. And then you have to apply and see what happens, but they have two different WUI, Western Undergraduate Exchange Awards. One is 15,000 and one is 12,000. So if you get the 15,000, which I think was for students with a 4.0 and higher, that could go down to, what is that, 35 plus the 5, so like 30, yeah, about $30,000, so pretty good. So have your student please tell everybody next Friday, he'll be there. Paying for college, they're definitely getting more expensive, and you have to think about all 4 years. And again, like I said, think of grad school, and law school and med school, and then the difference between need-based aid and merit aid. Need-based aid is financial aid based on your family's income. It's the FAFSA and the CSS profile determine that. Merit is based on how well the student did in high school and how much they want them. This has also been, I have been in the last couple of weeks, this information on this slide has been being pushed out on the e-news. So FAFSA is open, you can fill it out. I'm hearing it's not that bad this year. So I helped one student do his part of it. The student first has to apply for their account in FAFSA. They start filling out a couple questions and it will automatically tell them to invite the parent or both parents. Parents get an email, they create their own account and they fill out. If you have kind of your regular tax returns, it gets connected to FAFSA. It's like one of those automatic, and it'll be done. Then the FAFSA takes it, it creates what's called a student aid index number that can go from as low as negative 1,500 to, I don't know, I bet Bill Gates has a couple billion there. That number gets sent to the colleges, and then the college creates a financial aid package. CSS profile is used by, it's mostly private schools, although not all of them. So you have to look at who uses it. The link is there to see which schools use it. They do the same thing. They ask a bunch of questions about the family income, but they ask different questions. So some schools use both of those to decide on a financial aid package. But so far it's going pretty well this year. FAFSA is free, CSS profile costs a little bit of money. Sorry about that. Understanding financial aid. Oh, I love this slide. Okay. So sometimes I have these like colleges that connect to my brain. And so when somebody says to me, I really, really, really want to get into USC. Great, right? Why do you want to go to USC? Oh my God, they have this great business program and the alumni association and the rah, rah, rah football games. Okay, so immediately for a student like that, I put Colorado, University Boulder, and Southern Methodist University in Texas on it because all three of those have those things, right? To me, they're very, in my mind, very similar. But then you look at the money. And again, I updated these numbers and wow. So USC is 99,000 a year for total cost of attendance. So that's 396,000 for the 4 years. 27% of freshmen receive merit aid. On average, about 20,000. That's not a lot of students. It's like a quarter, right? So, but say you got that, then you would be down to 300 down. Then you would be at $314,752 for the 4 years. SMU is 93,000 a year, so 32% receive merit aid for 27,376. So that's like a third of the students, right? So now you're down to 262 1,496 for 4 years. Then Boulder, over half the freshmen receive merit aid, right? And so that one comes in at 224, say just basically 225,000 for the 4 years. So very similar schools, in my opinion, as far as what they have to offer for a student, but the price is radically different. Things to think about. And here's Lynn O'Shaughnessy again. Definitely, if you have questions about, finances and all that, go find her, thecollegesolution.com. She has so much information on it. College data, like I said, has a lot of data. Love it. Common data set is also very interesting. You Google common data set and the school name, right? Choose PDF. And then the financial aid information is in section H. And you can do that for any school. Applications. Okay, so most of the time, a student at La Jolla High School will will be working on 3 different applications. The Common App, the UC application, and the Cal State application. Okay, the Common App is for out-of-state public schools and most private schools. Many of them have early decision, which is binding. If you get accepted, you have to go, and you can only do that with one school. Early action, non-binding, do to as many schools as you want. And then rolling, which we talked about, they make a decision quickly, usually within 3 to 4 weeks, and you have a response. And then regular decision, which is like the olden way, like back when I applied, there was only regular decision. UC applications, they're all due on November 30th. Do not wait till November 30th because it starts going slower and slower and slower, the website, so that gets frustrating. I always think like a week before the deadline. And then the Cal State application is also due November 30th. For the Common App schools, if you can and you think you look good at the, your transcript looks good and your application looks good, and you're fine giving it as an early action so that they're only going to look at your grades up until the end of 11th grade, do early action. But if you're not, go regular decision, and they will include your first semester grades. Okay. And then what can happen, right? You can be admitted, deferred, denied, or waitlisted. That's if you apply early action. If you get waitlisted, then you have to wait up into the summer to see what happens. Deferred means that they're going to look at you again during the regular decision deadline. Okay, California colleges. And again, remember the new thing this year, the student gets into Clever, clicks onto californiacolleges.edu, and that is where you apply to California community colleges, Cal State schools, or UC colleges. And I have the photo here. So again, the logo is the arrow. And then once you're in it, on the dashboard, you go to colleges, and then you apply. And underneath, you can see California State Universities. You click on that and you apply through them to Cal States and through them for University of California. And it's pretty cool because just this week, I've done a couple of the Cal States, and it automatically if a student has gone to La Jolla High School or a public San Diego Unified public high school, the information automatically gets uploaded. You double check it, of course, but God, it makes it really easy. The Cal State is like taking half an hour now to do, so pretty nice. But we have community colleges. I am so happy to tell you that last year was the first year where I heard seniors boasting, bragging about making the decision to go to a community college for 2 years and then transferring to a Cal State or a UC because they wanted to save money, and they were proud of it. So good. They will end up in better schools than they would going straight from senior year into a UC or a Cal State. right here it says UC and CSU schools accept over 70% of their transfer student from California community colleges. Great, great pathway. California State Universities, that's the other type of schools we have, 23 campuses. There's one application, I just told you, very easy to apply to, no essays, no test scores, no letters of rec, no transcripts. You can apply to it October 1 to November 30th. Some examples are San Diego State, Cal Poly San Luis Obispo, Long Beach State. Then we have our University of California, 9 campuses, one application. It opened August 1st. You have to write 4 PIQs, personal insight questions. They do not like calling them essays. They think of them as interviews on paper, and they are about 350 words, but you get to pick 4 prompts out of 8. No tests, no letters of rec, no transcripts, but a lot more. There's an activity section, so it's a little bit more work than the Cal State application. What are some examples? UC Santa Barbara, UC Merced, UCLA. So those are California. This, I'm not going to read all these because it takes too long. But so very often people are like, well, how does UC make these decisions? Like, how come that person got in and this person didn't? They're very similar students, and like, why? I don't know the answer to that. And sometimes I'm, surprised by it myself. But they do have 13 things that they look at. And they do look holistically. 2 humans look at each of the UC applications for the different schools, right? And then Santa Barbara doesn't know what LA is doing and what Berkeley is doing. I mean, they're all their own independent schools. 2 people look, if they don't agree, a third person looks at it. So, and then they score points for all 13 of these items that they look for in an application. There's a great quick reference guide to UC admissions. It has tons and tons and tons of amazing information. It really is good. Some insights of the counselor meeting where they give us information. It was an increase of 17% for in-state students this year again, and they're trying to get it down and down and down lower from out-of-state students and international students. Always pick an alternative if you can, although Berkeley's not looking at alternatives this year. When you go into the quick reference guide, it'll tell you all the new things about all the different schools, all the different UC schools. But do your research, because some of the 2025 speaker program of Haas School of Business, it's a new program where you can go as a senior applying to Berkeley, you can walk straight into the business program for 4 years. Used to be that you applied as a sophomore and then would get into Haas School of Business. That has it has like a single digit, it's like a 3% acceptance rate. So you might not want to do that. You might want to just go into the College of Liberal Arts and Sciences and then apply as a sophomore to get into Haas. They do have a new school of computing. I have to say, I read a whole article on that computer engineering or computer science might not be a great major because of AI anymore. So do your homework on that too. There was even a school visiting recently who said that they were really down. Their numbers for computer science were way down because AI is taking over. Then I thought this was interesting. UCLA broken down. Total freshman acceptance rate is 9%. Letters and science is 11. Engineering is 5. Theater, film, and TV is 3%. Art and architecture 5. Music 21. Nursing 0.8. So yeah. Basic academic requirements, the A through G's that a student has to take in order to graduate from a San Diego Unified School District school should cover all the prereqs for most colleges. Then many schools are still test optional. Public schools in Texas, Florida, Tennessee, Georgia, most Ivies, although not all, are back to asking for test scores, and then just check, check and see what they need. If they're optional, then only give them your scores if you're in the top 25%. So here, this is all the highly selective schools, but say like, look at Stanford, a 34 to 35 is their average as a ACT score. So if you're a 35 or 36, give it. If you're below a 34, don't give it to them, although they're not required, so you have to give it to them. But definitely look at what is the top. If you're in the top 25% of their scores, give the score. And then don't take a test more than 3 times. And you go on to fairtest.org to see which schools are requiring test scores nowadays, or their website and admissions, they'll tell you to. This is a better example. So let's look at Utah State University, which is, oh no, let's look at University of Oregon. I just visited. Wow, what an amazing place. If there's students who want to go to like a big UC with rah football and all of the majors and the beauty, and Oregon is amazing. And if they have about a above like a 3.334, they could probably get in. Um, and you don't have to give a test score, but if you have between a 22 and a 30, that's the mid 50. So if you're 30 and over, that's 25%, right? The top 25%, give it to them. Otherwise, don't. Utah State, 29 and above. Definitely look at University of Oregon. God, that was so cool. 2,000 schools are still test optional. And they will only look at it if you submit it. When I ask colleges how many people submit test scores and then how many who they accept gave test scores, it's usually 50-50 or thereabouts, like very close. UCs and Cal States are completely test blind. They can't look at them. Even if you were to say in one of your PIQs, your personal insight questions, I love academics and I like studying, and I got a 36 out of 36 on my ACT, they cannot take that information into account. So they are definitely blind, but they will take AP test, AP scores. So give them those. Okay. Other types of colleges. Okay, then we have our out-of-state publics, usually more expensive for out-of-state students, but as we saw with Colorado State, sometimes not, right? Sometimes the merit aid really makes it much more financially attractive. Many of those schools use the Common App and require the personal statement. That's sometimes students refer to it as the Common App essay, 650 words. Examples are University of Maryland, Oregon State, another, I visited that too. Oh my God, so great. University of Iowa, out-of-state publics. Private schools, most use Common App. Some have their own, but very few. And many require extra essays that are just for them. Usually there's 2 kinds. It's why us? Why do you want to come to our school? Or why you? Why should we take you to our school? Like, what are you going to bring to us? Most of those will need a counselor letter of rec, and usually 2 letters, teachers' letters of rec should do it. I usually recommend 1 teacher from English social studies area and 1 teacher from math science area, if you can. We've had a bunch of teachers retire, so that might be tough to do. But that's okay, 2 teachers. Some also allow an additional recommender, so that could be an employer, a coach, clergy, like your pastor, your youth leader, and not all of them do. But if they do and you have one, excellent. Most require a mid-year and an end-of-the-year transcript. So, they might look at your first semester grades, although many will make a decision on you before your mid-year report card. So you just have to make sure to keep your grades up. What are some examples? George Washington University, University of San Francisco, Trinity University. Okay, I love the college essay guy so very much. His name is Ethan Sawyer. Google him with any question you have around essays, and he's amazing. He has so much information. Here are some things that I want you to be careful with, and definitely stress this to your students. Do not use AI. Don't use AI. Some colleges are running them. If they run it and they see it was AI, you're out. You get, application in the trash. And it's pretty amazing how much they can see through the AI detector. Yeah, I mean, they can even see if you're changing sentences and stuff. So I'm not saying all schools use them. I think they're expensive, but you just don't want to take that chance. Also, these people that get your application and that read the application, I mean, they read thousands and thousands and thousands of essays, right? They know what a 17-year-old sounds like in an essay. And the AI essays are like, they kind of don't have like spunk. They're missing something. UC has clearly said if any of them catch that there's plagiarism or AI, all UC apps will be rejected for that student. So don't do it. And then I know we all want to help our students as parents or as aunties and uncles and grandmas and grandpas and whoever. But again, a 17-year-old does not write like a 45-year-old. One of the biggest giveaways is that, especially when you're my age, I'm a little bit older probably than all of you, but that double spacing, that we learned as typing, that's a big, huge red flag. Double spacing means an adult wrote it or was involved in it somehow. So what are they going to be writing? They're going to be writing most likely their Common App personal statement, 650 words. There's 8 prompts, pick one. UCPIQs, you pick 4 out of 8, 350 words. And then the supplemental essays, those can range from, most of them are small, like 200, 150, 250, some are 500, but you don't really need to write that much in a supplemental. But those supplemental essays, typically 95% of the time are not optional. And then, of course, your extracurricular activities is a section that I like to start it with the Common App and then do it in the UC app. Those are a little bit wonky because they only give you like 150 characters to describe your activities. Okay, some more tips, the additional information section. So on the Common App, there are 2 sections that you could use. This is not another place to put in an essay. This is really kind of fact-based information. For instance, your parents got divorced when you were a sophomore and your grades went down. Explain that. You had a concussion in 11th grade, your grades went down. Explain that. You have an IEP of 504. Great. When did you get diagnosed? How do you use your accommodations? Are you comfortable? Will you be using them in college? Mental health issues. A lot of our students have depression or anxiety. Talk about it, write about it. I mean, and it doesn't have to be a big sob story, it's facts. I got diagnosed with anxiety. Now I avidly meditate every morning and it keeps my anxiety in check, or I know how much to do in a day and then to take time for myself, whatever it might be, explain it. They really want to understand the context around the student so that when they're looking at their transcripts and their activities and who they are, that there's like, oh, okay, this makes sense. Like, look at their grades went really down as a sophomore, but their dad was having major, medical issues. Okay, like they're human, they understand that. Also, this is where you explain a D and an F, and you definitely want to say, how hopefully you took it, you retook it and got a better grade, but like what happened? Did you get tutored? How are you going to prevent that from happening in the future? So that's additional information section. The Common App has 2 sections and the UC does too. One is in the academic section and one is at the end. So if it's like explaining the D and F student in the academic section and then the personal stuff in the end of the application. Demonstrated interest. This is especially good for private schools, smaller liberal arts or private schools, because they have time to do it. But definitely sign up for information on their website. Open all emails, click on the links they send you because they know that you opened the email, that you clicked on the link, and how much time you spend on their website. Um, if you can visit the school, I mean, that's not always possible, but if you do, sign up for an official information meeting and a tour. There are also, if something good came out of COVID, there's so much virtual tours and virtual information meetings on their websites. Do a bunch of those, especially if this is a school that's a little bit hard for you to get into, but it's a high interest for you. Do all of that if it's a private school or a smaller school. A lot of them come out for regional information meetings. They'll like rent out the ballroom at a hotel locally and go to that meeting because that all becomes part of their file. Follow them on social media, get to know the email admission representative, interview if possible. Syracuse University does great interviews. Um, how to get the Sebastian Brown from Oregon, he's the man with the green tie. He's been on our campus like 3 times already this year. Get to know him. He's the one making the decision on you. Trinity University, which by the way, I'm going to give a plug to because a lot of people talk about Texas Christian University and Southern Methodist University, but Trinity University is fantastic. They have a football team. They're academically super strong. They are very generous with financial aid. They have a great, you have to live on campus 3 years, but they have a great residence life program where they do, the freshman year, like get you involved in different things. Like, are you finding your people? As a sophomore, what is your major? Are you sure you're in the right place? As a junior, are you doing internships? Are you doing research? Like, how is your, interview skills? Like, kind of career oriented. Awesome school. Okay. Um, apply early action, early decision. That is another way to demonstrate interest. And those things do matter for some schools. Not all, definitely not the publics. They don't have time for that. College education. Okay, here is the list in orange of all the schools that are going to be on campus at La Jolla High School between October 15th and October 30th. Make sure that your student is receiving Ms. Cox, the counseling secretary's emails because she's the one that arranges these and sends them out. So we just said about demonstrated interest. Chapman University, that would be a really good one to demonstrate interest to. Wisconsin, they're to go because you want to know about them, but their demonstrated interest not that important there. Rose Holman, Reed, yes, definitely go, shake hands, ask a question. They're on campus. Go. Um, I believe you can go to 5 colleges and get excused absences, but you do have to ask your teacher that it's okay. Like if he or she's giving a test that period, obviously you can't go. But otherwise, go. Tulane University, very important to show demonstrated interest on that one. Okay, so look for Ms. Cox's emails. What to do right now? If you really haven't done this yet, definitely go into Zello. The student will go into Clever, into Zello, and have the student do the input survey. That is about, I want to say 7 questions. And then the parent input survey the parent does, also about 7 questions. And those are to help the counselor write a letter of rec. And then please come to the counseling center during lunchtime to ask questions. A lot of our seniors are taking dual enrollment classes and have free periods. Come in, I'm there, the counselors are there. We're all happy to help you. And check your emails because the colleges are emailing you. Then the waiting game. Oh, are we at the end? I think we're at the end. Oh, not quite. So this is super frustrating because say like, these are the UCs, but say all you've ever wanted is to be to UC Santa Barbara and you get waitlisted. This was the numbers for 3 years ago. So Santa Barbara offered 15,677 students a wait list. Out of that wait list, 5,506 ended up being admitted. That's unusual. That's about a third. Out of those, about 1,000 enrolled. So you really cannot think that you're going to get off a wait list. If it is, a school that you're dying to go to, do everything you need to get on the wait list, and then, okay, like, send it to the gods kind of thing. And then in the meantime, accept a spot at a school that offered you a spot and like kind of forget about that wait list. This year was kind of out of control. I want to say it was Chapel Hill or Duke. No, it was Chapel Hill, who in August was contacting people um, who they'd actually turned down. They'd been on the wait list and then turned down, but because they didn't get enough people actually showing up, they were going back to students and offering them a bunch of money. So it's just so hard on the kids, I almost feel like if they give you a wait list, just don't even do it and go with the one that really wants you and get excited about it and get your roommates and get your sweatshirt and, just be excited about where you're going. Because no matter where you go, it's what you do once you're there. Well, this is what that is. Celebrate all acceptances from likely schools to dream school and continue earning good grades. Really tell your students they have to finish strong. That doesn't mean you have to have straight A's because some of the senior classes are hard. I mean, the academic classes are not easy. But 2 years ago, UCLA pulled acceptances of people whose grades really dropped. So you gotta finish strong, gotta do it. And then be mindful of other students and parents because sometimes the decisions get released in the middle of a school day and you see a student look at their phone and get really excited or want to cry. So just know, it's tough. It's really a tough time. And then make sure that you send in your deposit money so you don't lose your spot. If you do early decision, that deposit might be due way before May 1st. So look at your emails, double check your emails. And as a parent, I would say at that point, really be on top of it. You don't want to miss that deadline. And then make sure the transcript is received from your high school. We are a public high school, as you know, and so it takes us a little bit longer. But Ms. Delia Lopez is amazing, our registrar, and she always pulls through. She's fantastic. And then, of course, have them enjoy their senior year because they only get to do it once. And then here are some the information from our school that might be helpful for when you're filling out the applications. I assume your students know their counselors. If not, definitely make an appointment with them and say, I'm going to apply to college. I filled out my student input survey and submitted it, and my parent input survey, and that's submitted. And, please write me a letter of rec. One big change this year is that this year, if you have older students, this is different. They are entering the 9 through 12 total weighted GPA, which is the GPA that's on the bottom. There's a list of GPAs on the upper right-hand corner of their transcript. It's the one on the bottom. And then the GPA scale we use is 4 weighted. Graduation is May 2026, not 25. Sorry, didn't update that. And then we have some honors rolls. And we don't rank. And there's 293 students in this class. So that's it. I'm going to open it up for questions. And how can I help you guys?
Well, quite a few just generic questions.
Okay, great.
Um, on the example from University of Oregon that you gave with the, when should you provide test scores? And you talked about the ACT. So my student took the SAT. So just by way of example, with University of Oregon was the average was 1110 to 1330. So when would you send your scores if that's what it looked like?
I would say with that school, knowing that they definitely look at the GPA. So if the student has a pretty decent GPA score, I would say I would maybe even go mid, like the
Oh,
middle up, right?
middle.
Because I know that that school, if you have about a 3.4 weighted GPA, which at our school is not that difficult to get,
Hmm.
you have a really good shot there. So then this is just like, icing on the top, kind of.
Okay, awesome.
Yeah, I love
Um,
that school. I'm glad you're looking at that.
yeah, that one my son
Great
really
school.
liked Oregon State too.
Oh,
That's a
me
great
too.
school.
Yeah, me too. And then
Uh,
also they like our students a lot.
oh, they do.
Yeah.
Um, so one of the schools that he's applying to has its own application, and they're requesting transcripts with the application. So how do we request those?
Okay, so have him go into the counseling center and speak with Ms. Delia Lopez. I should have put her name on this. I didn't. But yeah, come into the counseling center. Have him come talk to me. But Ms. Lopez
Okay.
is in there. She has an office. She's so nice. And
Oh,
she will help him with all of that.
oh,
What
great.
is the school? Is it Manoa?
That's California Baptist University in
Oh,
Riverside.
okay. Yeah, she'll know how to do it.
Oh, great. Okay. And then like that one, for example, you can provide letters of recommendation, but you don't have to. So how does he provide those from teachers if he was going to send letters of
So,
recommendation from teachers?
so I haven't done their application in a while, but there could be a couple of ways. It could be that you invite them through the application and they get an email. The other way to do it is to, if he already asked, did he already ask two teachers?
He did.
Yeah. So what he could do is give the teachers the email address for
Mm,
the school, and then they will just have to email it. It used to
okay.
be they have to do it in an envelope, but like usually there's an email um, for the admission office or the admission representative where you can send it to that. And I would do that.
You would.
Yeah. I mean,
Okay.
especially if he thinks that they wrote lovely things, or he or she.
Yeah. Okay, great. So, okay. Oh, and then one question that came up. So he's doing the Common App, and there's one school that requires an SAT, and then several schools where he's not going to submit it because it doesn't fall in that range. So
Yeah.
how does he do that with the
Yeah.
Common App?
Such a good question. Love that question. So when you're in the Common App and you go to the testing section, you can actually like toggle it on and off, right?
Okay.
But the thing is, you have to be super careful with it because then the next school, you might want to toggle it on and then you might want to toggle it off, right? But if he took AP tests that he's, happy with and he's submitting AP test scores, then make sure to leave the AP on and just toggle off the SAT. You'll
Okay.
see when you like help him with it, but if you see it, you'll get it. You'll get what I mean, and you can see it. Because the thing to remember is with the Common App, once you submit it to a school, that becomes a PDF and it goes to the school, and that's it.
Oh,
No more changes to be made on that for that school. But then you can change anything you want in the Common App. You can put in a new essay, you can change the activities section, whatever you want, and then that then goes to the next school, right?
oh, okay.
So
That's
yeah.
great. Okay, so just be careful about which one you send.
Well, just be careful that if
Yeah.
you toggle it on and then you want to toggle it off, that you're just before you. But the way that you would also catch yourself is with that is before you submit the application. Um, One of the steps that Common App makes you do is to say, yes, I've reviewed this PDF and it is exactly like I want it to be, and you can send it. Actually, look at it.
Okay.
Don't just be like, oh, I've submitted for applications already. Everything is fine. No, take a minute and just go through it. And then you'll
Okay.
see, oh, shoot, there's the SAT. We got to turn that off. Go, get out of that screen, go back, turn it off, and then. So always, always double. I don't care if it's like your 10th application, check the PDF.
Okay. Wonderful. Let's see. I think that might be. Oh, for schools that if he wants to send the SAT, but it's not a common app, like for California Baptist, for example, does he do that just from the College Board website?
Yes, and you might also want to see if a school wants official test scores, because then you have to send them from College Board, and they charge you a little bit of money because, they charge for everything. Um, but look on the website and then you'll see. Um, and again, it might be inside their application where you can self-report the scores. Because some
Okay.
schools are like, we know this is all costing money, like just self-report it. But then eventually you have to send, you know, the real test score from College Board to them if that's the school you're going to go to.
Oh, okay. All righty. College Board. I think that's all my questions.
Oh,
That
good.
was so helpful.
Oh, I'm so
Thank
glad.
you so much. If you remember, Elena, Elena Tyval, that's my daughter. So now her brother is applying.
Oh my gosh, I love her so much.
She loves you too.
Oh, yeah, she's great. Okay. Well, I'm gonna quit recording.